Welcome back to another episode of Ian.is.weird. I'm still working on my pride top. Things have been touch and go. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and my mental health has been in the trash can pretty much the entire month, year, couple years, whatever. And wanted to talk about it. And we'll work on the top, and I'll show you my progress so far. So this is the front top of it. So this is what it looks like so far. You can see that maybe you can see, it's really hard to see without the rainbow. I hope with a black background it'll be a little bit easier to see, but if not, we're fucked because this is a lot of detail just to have it disappear. But it's the head of a skull. So, yeah, I had all these great visions of how this would work out. It's working out a little bit different. That's okay. I still got the yarn that I wanted, so whatever. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So let me get my setup going. I only have this much left of this ball, and then I have to, I have some of my, like my dirty rainbow skeins that I'm going to use on the back panel. So I'll just work on the back panel while I'm waiting on the other hanks that I dyed to dry. What I've been doing, so I've got a lot of these different, I've got all types of different baskets from Dollar Tree. There's so many good baskets. You can get all different shapes. They are seasonal, like shapes change. Like there'll be a lot of with one color, like different shapes, and then next time you go in, they aren't there. It's like they sell out, and they just get like a new batch of bins. So if you are going, just kind of be aware of that. And you want like a set of matching ones. I don't care about matching, clearly. So I'm using a knitting needle because I was like, well, this one has holes in it, so I kind of use like a yarn thing. I could also feed the yarn if I had done it when I started the this cake. I could have put it through the just the yarn through one of the holes, but a lot of them have holes in them. They're perfect for yarn baskets. They're perfect for traveling. I just really like them. A lot of them don't have tops, which I don't really care about because I stack a lot of mine, and they're not full, so them not having a top doesn't really bother me. Doesn't mean things can get in them, but it's in my house. Dog hair is gonna get in it. Cat hair is gonna get in it. That's what you get from me. So I'm still using my cup handle from JandSCustoms. If you look in the description, there is a coupon code for 15% off their website. They're Canadian-based, small business, amazing customer service, super, super sweet. It came with this attachment and 4 others to accommodate different aluminum metal hook sizes to make a more ergonomic grip, because I have tendonitis in my right wrist. And probably my left hurts a lot, so, but I don't use my left wrist as much just for holding yarn. So this has been a lifesaver. I'm using 3.5mm hook. This is coming out a lot wider than I thought it would, so the shoulders are going to be really interesting. And I kind of am trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. So I'm going to do the front panel and the back panel and see if it's going to be like I don't know how I'm going to do the sleeves or how it's going to fit on my shoulders. If it's going to be an off-shoulder deal, because it's not really my style, but hey, I'm not frogging this whole thing, so you get what you get. So, one second, sorry. That's really an understatement. Tremendous understatement. How moving my legs, according to my brain wants to move in. I put my Pandora on shuffle just to see if I got interesting. I'm not quite sure it's going to be the vibe, but I'm giving it a try. I just took my dog on a walk. This is the second walk I've taken him on in a very long time, because I'm sure I've told you all that I have a lot of anxiety around walking my dog because he does have some leash aggression. He's very insecure around other dogs. He gets really excited. He pulls on the leash. And it's kind of like hell walking him. And it gives me so much anxiety because like it's gotten like he pulled so bad that like he did break my finger once, and that was. So I just get like, he's gonna break my finger, he's gonna break my finger, he's gonna attack another dog, he's gonna get hurt, or he's gonna hurt someone. Usually it's like, he's gonna hurt another dog. That's my main big fear, right? Because obviously I don't want any puppies to get hurt. So but yeah, so walking the dog has been kind of one of my mental health goals for a while, and I just didn't really know how to do it because I think it's good to get exercise, to get fresh air, to have the obligation to take him out. Because like right now we're lucky enough to have a backyard where I don't really have to walk him. And he doesn't have to interact with other dogs most of the time. But right now we kind of have a full house, and it's been a little bit more challenging to get him, uh, to take care of him and manage his anxieties and things like that. So I was really lucky. I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can find the website. It might be a little. There we go. So the website that I got his is it design or designs. So I got his what's the word? Harness. I got a new harness for him, and it fits differently than a lot of other harnesses. And it's like strategically like made for like no pull. And I've seen a lot of these like similar claims in harnesses, and this kept on popping up in my Facebook, and I'm putting it in the chat. And if you are interested, if you have a dog that pulls but you have a hard time walking them but if you have a physical disability, if you have a mental disability, or if they just pull a lot and it sucks, this is a really great option. So in the ad, they show a dog who I guess is prone to pulling, and they're holding onto the leash with their pinky, and I'm like, I will never do that. That's not going to happen. But I did show kind of a different dynamic, and the leash has two connecting points, one in the center of the chest, one in the center of the back, and the leash is kind of like just a long strip that has two clips on the end, and then the handle part moves, so like the leash will automatically correct itself, and it corrects his movements without like jerking him or like like tugging or anything. And so while he's a powerful dog and he still does have some of those, you know, he thinks he's off leash, kind of thoughts in his head. He did really well on the walk. I was able to be like, fiddling with my phone, trying to get my music started and stuff like that. And he didn't, it was really easy to hold him. He still pulls, so like if you have like no physical strength at all, for whatever reason, like if you have the flu and your body's just like no, then why is this not being so fiddly today? We're just gonna put you in a basket and you're gonna roll around like a normal. I'm just not really vibing on this music right now. Alright, let me try to do the thing that I wanted to do when I was walking, which is starting. Okay, so we're just gonna play a playlist on YouTube because I feel like that's more the vibe that I'm on right now. So yeah, so that's a big step for me. And so I probably only walked about 5 minutes today, but that's more than I've been able to do for a while. Um, and yeah, I've been struggling with my mood and my kind of everything lately, and it feels like I'm just really hoping to return to normal. But I always try to be pretty vocal during different awareness months that I can relate to. Um, I know that if you follow me for any amount of time, you know that mental illness is something that is ever present in my life. It is literally debilitating. I have my paperwork to prove it, and it's kind of a constant challenge to stay balanced. I've been looking at a lot of treatments, and a lot of things have been falling through, and things have been really tough. And I go from being like so depressed and like trying to, you know, just being like the worst, absolute worst spot. I won't get into too many details because I didn't put trigger warning in the title, and I don't really want to get into that, frankly. But I've been in really bad places recently, um, and then you know, I think that a lot of people are having a really hard time right now. Um, I think it's like a little ironic that during months like these, it's always like everyone's mental health goes to shit. Um, but I've been really trying to fight this depression off, but also trying not to like swing the other way, which is really common in bipolar disorder. And I think that I'm getting to a point in my illness and in my life where I'm just not having a lot of hope about how things will be in the future, how I'll be able to get care, how I'll be able to live, things like that. I'm just really having a tough time with. I'm using this pattern that they gave. When I bought the pattern, they gave two different types of grids to help you with the format. So with this, I'm just going line by line. When I finish the line, I am highlighting it just so I know where I'm at. So whenever I pick it up, then I can go and know where I'm at. So I'm halfway through. You can see halfway through. Progress is progress. I don't give a shit. I'm really hoping this isn't like way too long for my torso. I mean, let's see. If this is halfway, no, there's no way it's gonna be too long at the bottom. I'll still have the rows to do at the bottom. Good. But I didn't want to be too long to be like a dress because that's not the vibe that I'm going for. But it's wider than I expected, for sure. So I tried to size it accordingly, and they probably did a gauge, but I've never done a gauge in my life, and I never will if I can avoid it. And I think that's part of the problem. So they used a 3-weight yarn, and they used a 4mm hook. And so I wanted to dye my own yarn, and so I wanted to dye cotton so it would be breathable, nice to wear during the hot June month of Pride. And so, um, and uh, so I have a 4-weight cotton. So I downsized to a 3.5mm hook. However, I still don't think I still think I'm probably larger than they anticipated just with the larger yarn, even though I downsized my hook. So that's a little bit of a poo-poo moment, but it is what it is, Still fun. Still fun to learn. I mean, it's not really like that much of a new technique. I've made mesh before. I've done double crochets before. Very easy pattern though. I really like it. Instructions are very clear, very easy to follow, very beginner friendly. So I do highly recommend this uh, pattern if you are interested in it. So let me see. It was on Etsy. Let's figure out how to get out of the shop manager. I'll just go like this. Okay, so it's called the Headspace. Ooh, they have like a cool houndstooth one that's really cute. And there's a lot more mesh. It's a little hard to tell that it is. Let's see. This is super cool. They have a lot of cool stuff on here. Ooh, I have a tree? That's cool. Okay, there's so many cool things out there, so many cool patterns. If you can, go support some of these pattern writers. You know, it's hard doing the sizing and stuff like that, but like people are just doing so great that we just should support if you can, and if you're looking for patterns, try to support these like these smaller pattern writers, because I mean there's some great things out there. So I'm gonna go ahead and post the pattern. Oh, hey Rudy, welcome. 6:03 a.m. Central is 7:04 a.m. Eastern. Welcome in, welcome in. So I'm gonna post the pattern, and I'm gonna pin that comment as well. So, how are you doing, Rudy? Oh, you have autism. I didn't know that. I am neurodivergent as well. I have ADHD, so a little different, but you know, we're in the same family, right? Okay, so I've just pinned some things. So so the first pin is the harness that I was talking about for my dog that helps with pulling, really helps with my anxiety and being able to walk him. And then the second link I posted is for the pattern that I'm using. I haven't posted the. I think I'm gonna order. I think I'm just I've picked like maybe 3 yarns that I want to get. There are 2 nicer ones that I really want. There's like a cotton silk blend that I really want, and there's a cotton boucle one that's really calling my name. But those are a little bit more expensive as just bases, so they would drive up the price of the yarn quite a bit. But like, oh, I hate this. Why there's so many Temu ads? Oh. Um, so there's that, and then I posted the link to the pattern. Eventually, I will probably sell this yarn. Still trying to figure out how exactly I'm going to go about that. But also, if you want the link for the pattern, you have to include that question mark as well. You can't leave that out. I don't know why it doesn't recognize that that's part of the pattern, but whatever. Okay, so before I start each row, especially if it's got a lot of different points, I like to use my stitch markers to kind of mark out where I'm going to be working and starting and stopping things. So, because we're right here, we're gonna stay right here. Okay, and then this is gonna stay the same width as it was before. This helps me a lot. It helps me because with my ADHD, I put things down, I walk away, and then I come back and I'm like, what is going on? I have so many projects that I have fallen by the wayside, partly because I get distracted, and then another piece of it is that like I forget the pattern and how to do it, or where I was within the pattern, and so the steps get all confusing, and sometimes I can't really finish it. Um, so yeah, I am just gonna go and mark my territory. No, I'm not gonna do that. And I'm going to, so this row is actually identical to the row above it, so that makes it really easy for me to go ahead and mark exactly where I need to be. Oh, okay, yeah, 3. Okay, yep, that's right. Sometimes I'm like 3, 4. No, shit. Okay. Okie dokie. So, just marking these points. Again, because it's the same as the previous row, I don't really need to, but I can get distracted by anything and I can fuck anything up. So let's just, mark it for safety's sake. I wanted to post one more link, but I don't really know what I was going to post. I did forget that. So we're starting another row. So yeah, with Mental Health Awareness Month, I kind of usually go through like the spiel of what I have and how that affects me and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of the proof is in the pudding, so to speak, with that, where I'm just kind of like, I don't need to tell people I'm mentally ill. I show people I'm mentally ill. I wish that wasn't the case, but it just is for me. Um, and it's a complicated life that anybody leads, right? Like, life is not easy. Life is not um, for the majority of people. Life is not just rainbows and sunshine and whatnot. And so I know that you can have a lot of problems that make life a lot harder without them being mental health issues. But I do think a lot of things in our life can affect our mental health, even if we aren't diagnosed with any mental illness. Um, so it's important to keep that in check. And there's a lot of really great resources out there now for people to just be able to take care of their mental health. Um, Now, part of the thing that I'm running into is there's so much fewer resources for people who are struggling with severe mental health issues. It just doesn't seem like there's a lot of great resources for people to utilize for them to live a fulfilling, happy life. Sometimes it's very, you know, it is very tough to, uh, kind of keep this veil of like normalcy. And when I say normalcy and pointing to myself, it wasn't like I'm showing that I'm so normal. That's not what that is. I was just kind of imitating a veil, if you will. I talk with my hands a lot, which makes it hard to talk and crochet, but I still manage it somehow. And so I, uh, yeah. So I've been talking to a lot of people about a lot of different treatment methods for all of my different diagnoses and how I can get help. And I seem to kind of just run out of a lot of things, and I'm pretty desperate at this point. And that doesn't mean I want suggestions from the audience, if I'm being honest, because they're never good suggestions. I'm just going to be straight up. I don't think I've had, and I think in the years that I've been doing YouTube, anytime that a suggestion's been given to me that I haven't asked for, maybe one of them was actually useful. So just don't bother. And not that people aren't trying and being sincere or being thoughtful. It's just that there's a lot that I don't talk about, but when I get a suggestion, I have to be like, this might work, and it seems like I'm being more resistant than I am. It's just like I've tried a lot of stuff, and so I'm kind of getting to that point where I'm like, I don't really have any treatment options, and there aren't really any things that can help me, and it's like, so I've been looking at a lot of options that are a lot more serious, come with a lot more risk, or a lot more, or it would just be a big like life change. And I don't know if that's the direction I'm going to go in. It's easy to be in a dark place and assume that the worst is going to be your future. However, even in a less dark space like I am now, and I'm not in a great place, but I'm not in a bad place, even then, I still am like, I don't know. There's so many challenges, and kind of living this life that I'm just, you know, constantly like, is it worth it? Are there things out there that can help me? And I keep being told that there are things that can help me, or try this or try that. And I've tried so many things, and I just don't think that a lot of people understand that when you say like try this, like I haven't tried every single fucking thing that could work. It's almost like, what do you think do you think I'm just sitting here complaining but not actually trying anything? And some people do that, I guess, but that's not my case, and that's not a lot of people's cases who are just dealing with stuff. Like, don't assume you know the whole story just because people put a lot of themselves online. Um, Even if they put as much as they can remember, there's still stuff that they're not going to talk about online. It's just life is really complicated, and there's also matters of like safety and other people that we have to consider and we don't talk about on um, online. So I don't know where I'm going with that. I just kind of am like, please, 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 for the love of God, do not give me a suggestion. I am so close to flying off the handle at the next person who gives me a suggestion without me asking. And I've specifically been like, do not give me a suggestion. I don't want them. You have nothing to offer me. Blah blah blah. And still, people will give me a suggestion. Like, oh, have you tried this meditation? And I'm like, get fucked. Will this meditation change my brain damage and brain chemistry? If not, then go the fuck away. And don't use that as like a, well, this meditation actually does change your brain chemistry. Nah, don't do that. I'm not, I think part of mental health awareness is recognizing that there aren't solutions that are necessarily, there's not fixes for everything, right? Like, um, if someone has a broken bone, you can set it, and a lot of the time it will heal and they can function. And this is not, this is a chronic issue that a lot of people deal with. It's not just a bad time that's isolated because of something happening in my life. It's a bad time that will happen continuously in my life. And I think it's almost like disrespectful when people are like, it'll get better, because like, yeah, it'll get better, but then it'll get worse again. What are you trying to say? Like, what do you do you think this is? Do you think I can argue my way out of any advice? So just, yeah, please don't. I'm on the edge of my seat, just waiting for a motherfucker who will give me a suggestion, because I don't fucking want that. And maybe this is me just coming to YouTube to complain. I don't know, maybe, but I just for me, I think it's important to be honest with some of these things, because I'm not the only person who deals with them, and if someone can hear, you know, some of these things and relate and not feel as alone, then that's a win, because I think the biggest thing is feeling lonely and feeling like no one understands kind of what you're going through. Instead of just being a person that other people feel like they can, talk to, is a really important thing for me. And yeah. But yeah, so I guess so. Here are some things that have been going on lately that I've been dealing with. They're a little less depressing, still not fun, but a little less depressing than some of the heavier things. So lately, my ARFID's been really bad. My ARFID is the eating disorder I have, and I, it's a lot of it's about like what is safe to eat, what is okay to eat, because you can gag, you can be nauseous, you can throw up, you can just not eat anything if nothing feels like safe or okay, or whatever to eat. And it's really hard to talk about, because the more you talk about food, the worse it gets. Oh my gosh. And that's kind of the case with a lot of eating disorders, to be honest. It's like, just don't talk about food. The bigger issue you make about food, the bigger the issue the food becomes. And, I don't think I even recognized that before I knew that I had ARFID. I was talking to other people with different eating disorders. I didn't quite understand that. Just trying to be helpful, I didn't understand that. But my ARFID's been flaring a little bit for the past, let's see, how long has it been? I guess it's been close to a year or two now. And, I think that's when I got diagnosed. And, uh, so I got really, really depressed this past week. Really depressed. I was sick, and then I was depressed, and then I was just like, ugh, I just went through it. And I was like, I can only eat like bread and like nothing else. Like the thought of any other food just makes me want to fucking. I was so nauseous. And then like we're trying to figure out food, and I'm just like, like biscuits. I don't know. Like what's bread? What is bread? But give me bread. I don't know why. It was like the only thing that I could eat. And and then Mel was like, we should order out. She had a tough day yesterday, and so she was like, we should order out. And I was like, what the fuck are we gonna order? Because I just like can't really eat anything. But luckily, I was feeling a little bit better, and I have a nausea medication for my ARFID that helps a little bit. So I was able to kind of get into a better headspace, which should help my ARFID. So it all kind of works together, sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. But I was able to eat a little bit yesterday, and that helped. And then I also took my kind of like emergency downer and slept a lot, and then woke up and then didn't sleep all night. So we'll see what's going on there. Sleep has been a big issue, and everybody needs sleep. It's really important. Sleep in bipolar people is just a constant topic. I mean, if you are diagnosed with bipolar, the first thing that any psychiatrist or therapist is going to ask you in any session, unless there's a crisis going on, is how are you sleeping? It's the first question, and the next question is how are you eating. Those are like it's so critical in emotional regulation that your body um, and your circadian rhythm, like all of that, like that is in order for you to be able to stabilize your moods. If you can't stabilize your sleep and your eating, then your mood's go to shit. And so it's really easy to be like, well, fuck, these are really bad right now. I guess my mood's going to be bad. And so you're trying to stave off a spiral. But by doing that, sometimes you go in the opposite direction of whatever spiral direction you're trying not to go into. So you'd be like, don't get depressed, don't get depressed, don't get depressed. And then you panic and you're like, fuck, well, I didn't want to do this either. This is worse. Or it goes the other way, or you think it'll be fun to be manic, and then it's really not fun. It's never really fun to be manic. You might be having fun, but nobody else is. Um, so I really gotta make sure that I keep my food in check, and then I also need to somehow miraculously pull off like this like sleep miracle where I sleep at normal times, I sleep normal amounts of time, and I can just get into some kind of routine, but I just don't really know how to do that right now, and it's really, really challenging for me. Um, and there are so many apps that are really good at helping you fall asleep. There's medications, which if a motherfucker wants to step to me and talk to me about how nobody should need sleep medication and stuff like that, and people are too reliant on it. I mean, like, while there's some truth to the matter, what you're saying really doesn't fucking help anyone, and you're just being a dick. So, or like just people who are anti-medicine in general, like, do whatever you want with your body if it's not hurting anybody else. Like, whatever. Like, this is a big case of mind your own goddamn business. Um, and so my whole life used to have this roommate, and I do love her to death, and she does mean well in a lot of cases, and that the she's now on psychiatric medications, but when I was medicated and living with her, she would often constantly talk about how like nobody needed medicine, like oh big pharma's, or like just, I forget like exactly, just it was just like that kind of like um, it was just kind of like that kind of idea where it's like people don't need medicine. People can fix themselves, which I think is very empowering. And I don't want to be like everybody needs medicine, and the only way you can cope with things is medicine. Like there's a huge balance factor that I think it's so easy to be very black and white when you think about taking care of your mental health. That like I have anxiety, I need anxiety meds. Well, like maybe that's not true for you, and that's fine. But if other people do need anxiety meds to function, just let them be able to function. That's a gift to just let them function and not guilt them into feeling like they shouldn't need this, but they do. It's like, can anyone see how that's not helpful? Is it me? I always say like, I like the phrase like, "Am I taking crazy pills?" Like, I know for a fact I am taking crazy pills, but it makes me feel like legitimately like bonkers crazy when, I can make sense out of things. People who don't have what's going on in my brain can or can't. It's like, but she was very anti-medication, and like never specifically was like you shouldn't take medication, but just constantly was talking about how shitty medication was and how terrible it was, and there were so many more homeopathic, holistic, whatever um, answers. And if that works for you, do it. Cool, good. I'm not shitting on that. I'm saying it doesn't work for me. Let me live my life. That's all I want to do is just fucking live. And that's not even a constant in my life. So, but I just felt like living with her. I just got so much shit. But I was seeing that also her mental health had deteriorated in the ways that she was coping with things, non-pharmaceutically, and I didn't think that it was healthy. I could look at her and be like, it's not a cute look right now, but I can't make that decision for her. I can't force her to take medication. I would never force someone to take medication unless like it was like that or they were unsafe. And even then, I wouldn't be the one who forced them into medication. I would be the one who would got them into a hospital and let a doctor do their job. But I guess like take care of yourself. If you take medication, if you need to take medication, take medication. Take it as prescribed. If you don't have to take medication, don't take it. That's cool. That's fine. Good for you. Awesome. Um, there's a lot of different therapy resources out there, free, paid. Unfortunately, there's a lot of places where our healthcare system fails us. But if we are being real, I've talked to a bunch of people outside of the U.S., and it doesn't seem like a lot of people have great healthcare there where they're at either. So I think there's a worldwide problem with health and mental health. So I think it's easy as an American to be like, oh, America's healthcare system sucks. And that's not a lie. But do other healthcare systems suck for other reasons? Yes. The same reasons. Yeah. So just like, you know, um, but, I guess like focusing on things that do make you happy, focusing on things that do help you get through your day, make you feel fulfilled, make you feel happy, encourage self love, self compassion. Again, I can say all these things and not do them myself. Um, but so yeah. I know I'm just rambling, and that's kind of where I'm at this point. So I'm sorry if it's boring or not entertaining or whatever, but that's me sometimes. That's honestly real. So you don't like it, it's okay. You don't have to consume it. Um, so, uh, so I am trying to get my mental health taken care of and trying to think about the future and how I'm going to take care of myself and a lot of things of that nature. And it's a very complicated issue when you are living with a severe mental illness as to how you will have options not only now in your mental health, but options in the future. And I think that maybe that attitude might be very defeatist for some people to hear, or it might seem very defeatist for other people to hear. But there's a level of being realistic with things. It's like, well, if there aren't a lot of options, I can't just like optimist, you know, put my happy hat on, yeah, what the fuck, and be like, yep, everything's gonna be fine. There are so many options for me if there legitimately aren't a lot of options for me. So it's not helpful to be like, there's plenty of things you can do. There's so much you haven't tried. Actually, there's very little I haven't tried. um, but if you if you're doing all the talking and you're not doing the listening, if you're in problem solving mode, I think that's where a lot of people get hung up in dealing with people with any kind of disability, functional, non-functional, physical, mental, emotional, anything like that. I think there's this like idea that if we're not positive, then that lack of positivity is the root cause of our suffering, and it's like not necessarily. Like it does add to it for sure, but um, this like kind of there's a lot of labels for things that I think have both helped and hurt things. I think certain terms get overused for sure, and it does affect the kind of strength of that word. But like I was going to talk about like toxic positivity, and a lot of what I've been griping about is toxic positivity. It's like you tell me that I don't have anything to worry about, that I'm going to be just fine, but you don't back it up with any proof, then it kind of like it it's kind of serves to just kind of backfire and make me feel like more shit, right? Because I'm like, well, they can see something I can't. Well, like, what the fuck is wrong with me, you know? And so it's not helpful to be, um, it's not helpful unless you are a clinician specifically serving that person to just go ahead and tell them that, everything's like you have so many options. Like, just I guess what I want to do, and I just feel like I'm like lecturing or whining or I don't know, doing something. Hello, Glenn. Hello. I'm working on my skull pattern. I posted the pattern in that I paid for in the comments, and I pinned it, and then I also pinned the link for the dog leash and harness that I got from my dog that has been really helpful lately. Twice. I've twice used it twice. Um, in helping me be able to walk my dog and be outside, fresh air, exercise, good things, right? All in theory, right? So, trying to, be a little bit more. Uh, Sorry, I'm trying to focus, but I'm also trying to pin where I need to. Okay, this goes N1. Okay, and then we go 6 across. Yep, this goes 6, and then this goes N1. So using, some people can just like go, but I like to kind of set it up row by row and then just speed through it that way. This pattern has definitely inspired me. Like, oh, how cool would it be to like do something like this, but with another shape and go on like Stitch Fiddle and do that, and I feel like that would be really fun. So, I'm having a lot of fun doing this pattern. And now that I've got a hooks and a hip situation squared away, it's like, oh, it's much easier. My life got so much easier. It's nice. It doesn't usually go that direction. Okay. Oh, we don't want to go in there. Go in there. Okay. But yeah, I think people don't realize that positivity can be toxic, and this attitude where like you don't have to worry about anything, everything will work out in the end, and like it's a beautiful thought, and the intent behind it, I think, is truly well intentioned, but it does not come across that way. I've got to tell you, someone's got to tell you that it doesn't come across that way, right? And I hate to be the person to burst your bubble, but it doesn't really help someone when they're down in the dumps necessarily. I mean, maybe sometimes it does, but a lot of people just need to feel those feelings and deal with the chemical imbalances that they're facing with life. Um, I think that there are a lot of health resources out there, and I think there are things becoming more available to people every day, but that doesn't mean that things are moving fast enough to help people who are suffering right now. And as someone who's suffering right now who doesn't have the resources, I can definitely attest to that statement being true. Um, and but if you are trying to connect with someone who does have mental illness, then then I would say like just if you looked at like a bird's eye view of the conversation and like the the spread of like talking versus listening that you're doing, and letting things kind of breathe, letting people process their emotions, things like that. I think that like evaluate how much are you talking during a situation and how much are you listening. Because I think when you're talking to someone who's going through something, like when you're having that conversation, I think it needs to be led primarily by them. You can ask questions, obviously, and things like that, but I think that the focus needs to not be on fixing them. It needs to be helping them in that moment get through that hard time, because a lot of these times they are just moments. They do get better, um, and I I think that if you listen to someone and you can see what they're going through, what their experience is like, then it unlocks a lot of empathy that I think that you know a lot of people struggle with. And I'm not going to say that I don't struggle with empathizing automatically with people who are going through something I have never gone through, and do have trouble understanding. But while I want to understand, I have to realize that maybe that person's not in a position to educate me. Maybe they don't want to educate me. Maybe they're not in a position to, whatever. And maybe I need to do some research myself, bring it to them when the time is right, and ask them if the time's right. Be respectful of them and their wishes. If people put up boundaries, hey, I don't want to talk about this. Hey, I know I've been down in the dumps, but I don't want to talk about it right now. I'm just going through some stuff. Let people work it out like that. Don't push people to do things that you think will be helpful, um, just because you find that helpful for you in hard times. It's okay to say like, "Hey, I did this. It helped me." Just putting it out there, take it or leave it. I think that non-aggressive approach is actually way more effective, and it just really makes people feel less like put off by suggestions. You know, there's so many suggestions that I've gotten over the years, and I'm just like, fuck off. And in this past little while, I've actually like really started to question certain friendships I have, because I feel like I needed some support, and whether people weren't there for me or said the absolute wrong thing, it just made me go, man, they really fucking don't get it, do they? And I can't make them get it. Ugh, I don't know what to do about this. You know, I think that there's so many things that you can do to help yourself and advice you can get from other people. But at the end of the day, it's your battle that you're fighting, and get your support team, people who understand or want to understand, who don't drive you to who don't make matters worse by just shoving things down your throat, but rather listening to you and adapting to your needs in that situation. I think that's the best way that you can be supportive to someone who's going through a hard time, is just to listen. And sometimes people just need to vent. They need to get off their chest. Maybe they're thinking all these intrusive thoughts that are just popping in their head. They can't get them out. They're spiraling. And what would help them the most is just to say it, get it out. That's it. And they feel better. Like sometimes that's just what you need. You just need a vent sesh. And so if I need a vent sesh and someone comes back with like a lot of suggestions, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm at that point where I'm like, shut up. I do not care. I do not care what you have to say. Nothing you can say will make me feel better. I actually felt better when I just got it out, and now I'm feeling worse again because you're telling me what to do, even though all I need to do is get it out. Does that make sense? I don't know. This is probably the dumbest video. Okay. But mental health is very important. Um, And a lot of people are out there struggling who are not receiving the help that they need. And so the more supportive we can be of our fellow person in these situations, I mean, I don't think that people understand the impact that just being kind and being there for people when they need it, the impact that that can have um, on people. And those have been the biggest things in my life, the biggest moments in my life where people help kind of change the course of my mood and where it was driving me, is just people who um, could adapt to the situation like I needed them to. And I wasn't always able to communicate what I needed, which, is challenging for everybody. Um, but, um, you know, I've had the privilege of being supported by a lot of people, and those people had to learn and grow up with me to learn and become educated about what I'm dealing with, what my future could look like and does look like. And so I have a lot of people in my support network who know the struggles of me trying to find treatment and know the troubles that I've gone through and the idea of being in and out of um, uh, hospitals, treatment centers, and treatment programs, and support groups, and whatever. They know, and they're you know uh, actually helpful. So but I think when things get really bad, a lot of people, even people who understood kind of the lower level stuff, when things get really bad, people can stop understanding as much, and it becomes like a really hard process. It's almost like grieving because you thought you had someone who finally fucking got it, and then it just kind of was like ripped away from you, and it feels like a breakup, like it feels bad. And sometimes friendships end over that, and it sucks because any relationship that is positive, largely, uh, ending is very painful. Um, but I think a lot of us are just surviving, and sometimes that needs to be the focus before we can think about thriving. Um, and getting proper support is essential for a lot of us. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I this is like a ramble fest. It's what happens when you don't sleep. uh, but I guess so. I'll give some unsolicited advice for anyone who wants it. Take it or leave it. Does not matter to me whatsoever. And if I say something that is you're just like, no, I'm not going to do that, just don't. That's cool. Um, if you are living with a mental illness, you're diagnosed with a mental illness, and you have not done research on that, I would suggest doing that. And Google and things can be very intimidating, and there's also a lot of uh, opinions that are stated as facts about certain components of any illness. So make sure that you're consulting a professional if you can. I think that makes a huge difference because it helps you weed out information. And for me, I've been able to take information I found by researching bipolar, borderline, or whatever, ADHD, RFID, and I've been able to take that and be like, hey, I actually have these symptoms too. And it builds a conversation with a professional clinician to help my treatment. And my doctor isn't always just like, let's just take a pill for that. She's like, well, what else can we do? And she does look at non-medication treatments and things like that. So having a doctor who can look at things as holistically as that is really a privilege, and I'm really thankful for that. Some doctors just throw pills at it. Some doctors don't throw any, like, withhold pills that are needed. So I know that I'm really lucky to have the doctor I have now. I mean, she's not perfect, but she's a human. She's not allowed. I mean, she's allowed to not be perfect. Um, so if you have that, I would say just do some research. Talk to people who have it and take what they say kind of with a grain of salt. But also kind of take that see if you can adapt it to what you've experienced. See if the language that they use you can connect with. If you can find a support group, those are usually very helpful. Sometimes they can be a little bit toxic, like I'm in some Reddit threads, and like sometimes the bipolar one, it like can be really really helpful. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I did that. I didn't know that was a thing that happened to a lot of people. So it's like, oh, okay, great. But then sometimes it's like people are, just in a bad state and they're just trying to get some help, and sometimes it's just not fun to watch other people go through that. It's not fun to watch other people go through that. So you can extend your support, but sometimes people are just, sometimes those groups are not as helpful. So, just kind of take in your information gently. And then, don't think that your life is necessarily over if you get a diagnosis, for people who think they have something, but they don't know for a fact, I always say be very hesitant to self-diagnose. I try, I'll pretty much say avoid it, at all costs. If you can, if you think you have something and you're doing the outside steps other than medication or something um, that would, what am I trying to say? If you're doing things, it's like, like let's say you think you might have autism or ADHD, and you have something like a STEM, like you like to play with fidget toys and stuff like that. If that helps you, then like, and you're not hurting yourself, you're not hurting anyone. If this helps you function a little bit better and helps kind of keep your attention or whatever you use STEMs for, it's a great resource. Why not, right? They're great for people who aren't autistic or have ADHD. So it's like, these are okay. That's okay. If you think you have something, you can do things that generally help people who are diagnosed with that. But, it doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that you've got to, you just be really cautious about it, and a lot of these things are hard to diagnose, and I do understand that, and I know that the diagnosis process is not easy, and you might think that your doctor is wrong, and they can be wrong sometimes, or it can be a misdiagnosis, and they think it's this but it's actually that. All of that, very complicated. Just try to reach out to people, and I would say, like, talk to people and say, I've been researching this a little bit. It sounds a lot like behaviors I have or things that I've done, and I really want to understand more to see if this diagnosis or whatever fits me, instead of going in with like a attitude of I have this, you diagnose me with this, or I'm getting the fuck out of here. Sometimes we all get to that point, so don't be. I'm not shaming anyone who gets there, because I've straight up been like I've had to fight for my ADHD diagnosis because I know for a fact I have it. Like everybody knows I have it except my doctor at the time, and I had to fight for it because it can look like a lot of different things. And I was like, okay, I meet the criteria like twice over, and all that shit. So but uh, generally going in with an open mind, because there's a lot of things that look really really similar in this life, and so and there's a lot of overlapping things and shit like that. So just be as gentle as you can be, because it is the frustrating path for anyone, and I do understand it's very frustrating. So I'm sorry if you're going through that. Now, if you are supporting someone who is either diagnosed or may be diagnosed, you might think they have something, they might think they have something, anything like that. Like I said, encourage those conversations where you're listening as much as possible. You're really trying to see things from their point of view, and you're trying to get their feedback on what you could do to be the most helpful. And sometimes it's not actually, what they need, but it's what they think they need. But sometimes it's worth a try, and, kind of use your judgment. Um, I will say for a fact that being a hey Leather, oh come in. Sorry, my voice was like ah. I didn't sleep last night. I slept a lot yesterday afternoon, so I kind of made up for it. I'm imparting some final wisdom on like mental health, because my mental health has been in the trash can. Um, But I forgot that May was Mental Health Month, and I've been saying a lot of things about it like mid-month, and I'm like, well, great, well, I missed half a month. Not that I could have done anything the earlier parts of the month because I was going through it, still going through it, so that's whatever. But yeah, if you're supporting someone who's going through something, first of all, did you wake me up? I mean, I went live an hour ago, so if I woke you up, it was, I don't know how I would have. If you got the notification, it would have been like an hour ago, so I don't think so, but if I did, I'm sorry that happened. I don't want to wake anyone up. It's really early, and it's a weekend. I feel like everyone should be able to sleep. And for you especially, it's very, very early, right? So, yeah. Uh, but I will say, as someone who's mentally ill, watching people around me have to deal with me, I know that that's challenging, and I know that that's not easy. I think that anyone who supports uh, folks who have some level of disability, whether it be mental or physical, um, I think that there's a lot of, I think it's a really difficult role to be in. And I want to give everyone um, who is a caretaker to some degree a huge round of applause. I don't know if any single caretaker I've ever talked to knows how much they truly do for the people in their lives. And I just, I am so thankful for the people in my life that have been like that for me and have again and learned with me, um, had to kind of reality check me. No, I don't know. It's 4:50 a.m. Oh, yeah. I mean, I was awake all night. Um, I wrote a little bit. I'm writing a story. I write occasionally. I write fanfic. I read a lot of fan fiction, but um, I've been trying to write a little bit more. I'm not really great at it, but it's kind of a fun method to express yourself. I don't like journaling because I can easily spiral into a hellacious landscape. So I never. Oh my gosh, there's so many team apps. Oh my gosh, my body's. I'm tired. I'm doing a YouTube playlist on my. I'm listening to that in one ear, and oh my gosh, it's driving me nuts. But yes, caretakers deserve a huge round of applause, huge pat on the back, and it, often is a thankless job, and I'm so sorry that is going on for you, and I think that um, the people with the biggest hearts that I've ever met, but it's important for them to take care of themselves too, and I think that seeing someone in a bad mental position, it's really challenging. I've kind of seen it from my perspective, uh, you know, and then I've also been that person for other people. You also have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, not just pretty much in all ways, right? And so, like, just because someone is mentally ill or has things going on doesn't mean that they, you know, it doesn't mean you have to stick around if they are abusive or just mean or anything like that. Like, just know that you do have power and you're not as stuck as sometimes you might feel like. um, and but if you want to stick around and you see, if it makes your heart happy truly, then it's really appreciated. But I always want to let caretakers know, because I feel like this is not really talked about, at least never in the circles I'm in. Is like, it's okay to be like, I don't have it in me to just like be, you know, all of that to someone. I don't have the ability to I don't know, just like I can't be a caretaker right now. I have to put my own oxygen mask on, and I've got to take care of myself, right? And I think a lot of caretakers feel a lot of guilt when they get to that point because they feel like that's a selfish move, but really it's not. It's self care. It's looking at what you need and it's being considerate of that. So I just, I I'm sure that's a really hard thing for anyone who's a caretaker to hear because they, like I said, have huge hearts. Um, but it doesn't mean that you deserve abuse or, if someone is toxic, they're toxic, And I have conditions that, don't help me be a nicer person, if we can say it like that. They straight up don't. And so if someone said, I love you, but they said it or if they just did it, if I just was too much, then, they had every right to uh, remove themselves from a situation that's not healthy for them. Um, and I feel like that's not really talked about, at least anywhere that I go to. And I feel like I wish it was because um, caretakers, we have, it's like how in the pandemic when like people were putting like signs in front of hospitals like thanking nurses and doctors for what they did and all this stuff. It's like I feel like that should be like every day, but with nurses and caretakers and all these people who are giving so much of themselves, teachers that are giving so much of themselves, and then they're burning out. They're so tired, and they're doing their best, but they're not taking care of themselves. And I really want to say, just take care of yourself. Like I've seen my caretakers burn out in front of me, and I'm like, please, just take care of yourself. And they're like, I can't take care of you. It's really, really hard to be in that situation because you're like, I need a caretaker, but I also know that you're burnt out. What do I do? It's a really hard situation, and I'm not going to pretend like any of these conversations or decisions are easy. Um, but I just want to say, if you're a caretaker, you deserve a lot of credit, and people are more thankful for you than I think you could ever recognize. Um, Especially, I get BetterHelp and Temu. BetterHelp's marketing budget is nuts, which is how you know that they're turning such an insane profit. Insane profit. If you see a bunch of ads, you know for a fact that they're turning such a profit, no matter what the business is. So before you sign up for that service, just be considerate of that. I think there are a lot of great therapy options out there. I have had great luck with BetterHelp. Some people have great luck with BetterHelp. Um, I don't know. I feel like in their personally in their venture to be more accessible to people that they've actually just hired anyone who's got the paper qualifications and not necessarily the everything else that is helpful in therapist. That's me, but I'm also a more complicated case, so maybe it's just not for me. But just consider that if you go to a therapist or a psychiatrist or a doctor, any doctor, and they're just not for you, that you can always get a second opinion. Even if you're like if you have insurance, like insurance will pay for second opinions. If you don't have insurance, everything is expensive. I know, but if it means you getting better care, it might be worth it. And that's a decision you have to make on your own. I can't make that for you. Um, and yeah, so there are a bunch of I do hospice, and I'm one. So yeah, I know self care needs to be utilized. Yeah, and I think when we talk about self care, like I love that self care is talked about a lot now, but also again, it's one of the things that I feel like it's a little bit overused and used in what I think is maybe a little bit, wasn't improperly, but everyone's self care looks different. Like for me, my self care means I took a shower and I put deodorant on. Sometimes it means I drank a glass of water in a day. Sometimes it means I ate more than 2 meals. Like, those are legitimately self care items for me. But your self care item might be, bubble baths and face masks and whatnot. But self care needs to be, you know, whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. And that includes emotional care, taking care. Like, do you have, it's kind of like that motto that like all therapists have therapists. It's like, well, even therapists who are trained to help people release some of that, the things that they're going through, even they are, in that role, they have to go like they have feelings and emotions and things going on that maybe something said pulled something on them, and they've got to talk to a therapist about it. So emotional well-being, not just talk to a therapist, but anything that helps you feel a little bit more like a human instead of like a tool to be used. I think caretakers are not tools. They are people with tremendous love in their hearts who need to be treated and respected as humans, and not just like a CPAP machine, right? They're not tools for our well-being. They are humans that help our well-being, and when their well-being is lacking, then they've got to take care of themselves. So having a wider breadth of support, if you can, is always going to be better, because then if someone's burnt out, you can kind of move over, you can kind of like rebalance the scales a little bit. I think maybe it's my bipolar, where I'm always and the Libra in me, where I talk about balancing things, because it's really important. But uh, but just think about, like, I think that the idea of like rebalancing things has always been really important for me, because I have to take it. It takes me out of this moment where I'm in it and I'm feeling everything and I've got all these thoughts and I'm spiraling and doing things, and it takes me from here and makes me be more mindful. Gives me a bird's eye view of the situation, and I'm like, oh, I'm really struggling right now. I do need help. I do need a caretaker. However, someone's over here, they're being my caretaker, they're having a really hard time. Can I lighten up on them, and can I like switch up the load a little bit, so like maybe this person can help me out a little bit more, and I can talk to them and say, hey, like, would you mind just like, I don't know, like doing a little bit more for me now, so that like this person can recuperate a little bit. And all those things are great in theory, but you gotta put action to it. Being in hospice care, I can imagine the emotional toll that can take on you. So I mean, but I think it's beautiful work that you do. I mean, that's such a challenging time, and pretty much everyone who's involved lives. I don't know if I said that right, but you know what I mean. Like, that's a very hard place to be, and to be in that position, and that with so much emotional vulnerability around you constantly, the energy that you must absorb in that situation must be so intense. So releasing that energy out into the universe in as positive a way that you can, without just letting it dwell in you and simmer and fester. Oh my gosh, you could feel like so much lighter, right? And so that's what I hope for people in those roles, is that they can realize that's just as important as the work that they do. It's actually more important, because they can't do the work that they do if they don't take care of themselves. So, um, but also don't put up with things that you don't have to, that cross boundaries for you, and you're allowed to have boundaries. As a caretaker. I think they get stomped on a lot. I've stomped on my caretakers' boundaries a lot, and I've hurt people, emotionally, as a result. So you don't have to, people don't have to stick around for it. In those situations. So you know, I guess yeah, I say strong for them, but when they leave us, I go to crap. Yeah, and see, that self care of like how you funnel that emotion is super important, because and I'm like, kind of big into like energy direction too, because I think this may be like the empath in me or whatever, but like for me it's like I used to be like a sponge, and all the emotions around me, because I'm such a sensitive person. I'm really just a sensitive person, even without like these shipwright disorders. I'm still sensitive, but I just like took all of the emotions around me, and I just wanted to take the weight off of everyone else, and just I was like, I'll carry it. I'm strong enough to carry it. But then like it all got to be too much, and I'd just fall apart. But then I'd get myself together eventually, and I'd do it again, take everyone's shit. And then everyone else seemed to feel better, but I was still feeling like shit, and I burn out over and over and over again. And for me, it was like, okay, how can I prevent this burnout? Can I be a little bit more thoughtful ahead of time about how I'm going to deal with something? There's this really beautiful concept in dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT, which is like an offshoot of cognitive behavioral therapy, which most people are more familiar with. Cognitive behavioral therapy is like thoughts lead to actions, and like beliefs lead to thoughts, action, whatever. There's a triangle, whatever. And then DBT is an offshoot where it kind of incorporates like some Eastern like meditation and like mindfulness practice into it. But one of the things I really like about DBT, a skill that I like, plus the different skills that they have to check off, are it's coping ahead, right? So coping ahead is when you know something shitty is about to happen. We can't avoid it in life. Shitty things happen, right? It's life, and especially in your line of work, it's gonna happen, right? It's kind of we're all bound towards that track, and whether we're watching our family members or someone we love pass, or we're passing ourselves, it's a very intense situation. But if you know that this is going to be a really hard situation for you, if you say, okay, how do I prep now for the situation that will happen later? It's actually really, for me, I found that it really helps me land on my feet a lot faster, or get up to my feet a lot faster from the ground, depending on where we ended up. And so I think that's something that, a skill that, I don't know, if that sounds like something that might be helpful, try it out. Because if you know it's going to happen, we don't always know if bad things are going to happen. They surprise us, they knock us on our ass. But sometimes we do know. And so instead of constantly dreading up to that, saying, well, I know that usually when this happens, I do this. Well, if you say, well, what if I prepare so that this, what if I made a cushion so that when I fall, inevitably, I will fall on a cushion and things won't hurt. But DBT, I haven't heard of, never thought about preparing. Yeah. So yeah, DBT, it's not that new, but it's like, I think it was, ugh. So the person who started it, where's Marsha Linehan? Sorry if my, so let's see. Okay, so it was first developed in the 1970s, and it was developed by someone who has, I believe she's still alive, who has borderline personality disorder. So it's kind of the therapy method that's kind of the go-to for borderline, but it's actually really great for a lot of people. Not everyone, but great for a lot of people. A lot of good skills there, and they it's interesting because I feel like CBT, I feel like it kind of uses it. DBT takes what CBT has and it kind of builds a foundation underneath it. They kind of make a house out of it, and so it's good visually for people like me. But it talks about being in the moment, being in the present, not dreading the future, not feeling bad about the past, being in the moment, but then also has a bunch of different skills about dealing with things, being a highly emotional person. So if you look up DBT, there's so many resources. You can look on YouTube, you can buy books, all these different things. DBT has been very helpful for me as someone who is borderline, but you don't have to be borderline for it to be helpful to you. So a little bit about DBT, since we got on the topic, and I actually really do love DBT. It's the most effective therapy for me. Is granted, sometimes my other conditions do make it a little harder for me to practice it, but so there are 4 pillars of DBT. Yeah, if you want me to suggest a workbook, I can. But there's plenty of stuff out there, and you can just read a lot. But and there's like once you find out the names of the skills, you can start just like typing in YouTube the name of the skills. Yeah, like you can let me find like a DBT sheet for you. That actually would be cheaper. You could buy the book if you want to, but so like in if you have a DBT specific therapist, a lot of them will have you fill out a DBT diary, and so and what it does is it labels all the skills, and I just want a fucking oh why did I put that? Fuck you. Everyone's like sucks. Is this the one I used? Okay, so this is not like the best one, but you can just type in DBT diary worksheet. I'll send you the oh my gosh, so many ads. Can I send you the link to just a picture? So if you look on here, super hard to read, but they're like printable sheets, and they list all the skills, and so you could go skill by skill, and you could go skill by skill, and like just be like, it'll say like wise mind, and you're like, what is wise mind? Because you check it off if you use it during the day. So that's what the DBT diary is. You just check it off if you use the skill. Bunch of different skills, lots of acronyms. Half of them don't make a fucking lick of sense. Marsha Linehan, the person who started DBT, loved acronyms, which helps from you remember, but also sometimes they're just stupid. Sometimes you remember them because they're stupid, if I'm being honest. So you're like, wise mind, what is that? And then you can YouTube videos on wise mind. Like, okay. So four pillars of DBT. So mindfulness is the big one. Kind of without mindfulness, you can't do the rest of them. So mindfulness, being in the moment, kind of focusing your attention on one thing at a time. Don't kind of spread yourself too thin. If you're drinking a drink, don't focus on what you got to cook for dinner and what's going on in the world and politics. And just mindfully drink water. Like it's like some of the things are so simple that you would be like, oh, that's actually different. Like if I focus on like the texture of the cup, and I focus on how full my cup is, and if I focus on the feeling of the cool liquid in my mouth, and then the sensation of like doing all that, like it's very in the moment. So mindfulness, big pillar, big one. Next one is interpersonal effectiveness. So this one is all about focusing on how we relate to other people, how we use our communication skills, how we set up boundaries, if we need to ask for something. There's basically a protocol called Dear Man, and it's an acronym, and you follow it, and it just basically helps you write a letter or a request to like ask for something. Like it's really helpful because sometimes we don't know how to approach these complicated subjects, and talking about I feel statements and all that shit. So the next one is emotional regulation. This one is the one that I suck the most at because I always forget that these skills exist, and then I go to the next pillar. So emotional regulation skills, that's where the money is. That's the good stuff. That's you were taking care of yourself. You were doing good. It's got so many skills on it. I can't name one. I'm so bad at this. I'm so bad. That's really where DBT falls through for me. But I try. And then the last one is distress tolerance. This is when, so they talk about like the emotion scale. So like, let's say emotional intensity, any emotion, unless it's like happiness. I guess happiness can be toxic too if you're like manic, but just pretty much any emotion, right? So scale from 1 to 10, how you feeling? And so if you're in a negative emotion, right? So let's say you're really, really sad. If you're in like from a 1 to 6, you'd use the emotional regulation skills. If you're above a 6, so 7 to 10, really intense, you go straight to distress tolerance. that is a quick fire extinguisher to the flame of like what's going on in your life. It's such a so I always forget about emotional regulation, and then I employ these distress tolerance skills when I'm on fire. And they do help. And there's a lot of really interesting research on why they help and things like that. The main one for me is the TIP skill, TIPP, again, another acronym. And the first letter stands for temperature changes. So it was developed based on people who were like like what is that like people who don't use tanks to dive, but then they were in like really cold water. But do you know what I'm saying? Like people who swim in fucking cold water. I don't know. But like but so they found that they really had to control their breath, and they were in cold water, right? And so because of all of this breath control, mindfulness, and this temperature change, like when if you jumped into a cold pool, imagine, like, let's say you're struggling to think about, like, you're struggling because like the check that you wrote just bounced, and then you jump into a pool, you are not thinking about that fucking check. You are like, I am dying, I need to survive. And so it's about triggering that survival reflex in a less intense, in a less dramatic way, like doing it in an accessible way, like putting your hands in ice water, things like that. Um, because this puts your body in survival mode, you literally cannot think about other problems. It is very effective. I mean, you can, sometimes you need a little bit more intensity than others. Sometimes just grabbing some ice can help. At any mental facility, you'll always see people, asking for ice just to grab in their hand. It's very grounding, and it's also like it's concentrating the energy we have up here into our hands, and so that's a really good skill. So, but if you overuse them, like I do, then you forget about the ones that are actually helping you stabilize 95% of the time. It can be a little hard. So it's a really cool therapy modality. It's not the only one. There are many more, many that work in a lot of different situations, and DBT is not for everybody. I do want to make that clear. But DBT has been very helpful for me, and I do really like it. And I think that it perfectly aligns with my mindset about a lot of things. But so if you're into that, I think that you would really like it. But if you're not, maybe you won't. This has been such a weird live, such a weird live. But I've made some progress on my top, so I'm pretty proud of that. I know probably doesn't look like anything, but just a big colorful barf. But it's my big colorful barf, and it's gonna be a skull. I don't give a shit. I don't care if I have to make it a tapestry and put it on a black background. I'm gonna fucking make this thing work. Okay. I also did pin the let me pin that DBT thing. Okay, so there's 3 things pinned. One of them is the dog leash harness set. If you have a dog that pulls and you are either not very strong, or you just don't want them pulling, or anything like that. For me, I have a lot of anxiety. My dog has pulled and broken a finger before because that's how strong he pulled. He gets very aggressive towards other dogs and stuff like that. So this leash has actually been able to like let me walk him again, and so that's good for my mental health, getting out, walking him, doing things. But it was so crazy. Thank you. Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm looking at some different cotton options to have as different bases, and then I'm gonna dye some as like a beginner batch and see if they sell. And if they don't, I'll just use the shit out of them. But I found this one cotton. So one of the problems I have is that I can't go get professional like dyeing cotton from like undyed, unbleached cotton, because the cotton that you buy from suppliers like Knit and stuff, um, uh, it's not white. it's like it's off-white. It's like a cream color, right? Even though I don't quite understand why, because cotton itself is white, but whatever. But I'm doing pride colors, and some of the pride flags have white in them, not cream, white. So I have to use white yarn. Also, my colors will appear more vibrant if I put them on white yarn, which means I've got to buy store yarn and then dye it. So I'm not getting wholesale yarn. There are two undyed ones that I really want, but they're more expensive. So I'm gonna see if the basic ones sell, and then maybe I'll add these to my repertoire. But Knit Picks has two. They have a cotton silk mix, which looks delicious, and then they have a 4-weight boucle, which I don't always love crocheting with boucle, but the idea of cotton boucle just really gets me stoked. Like I just haven't seen it. I've never seen that. I really want to use it. Oh, I want to, but it's like, because I'm trying to do like 100-gram hanks, and uh, the uh, uh, the 100-gram hank for that one, I think it's like $16.99. That's $17 just to buy like just the base, and then I have to add the cost of all the dye and all the products, and the time that it takes so much time, especially because I don't have a big setup at all. I really have no setup. It's a mobile setup, so it's a lot. So uh, yeah, it's a process that I'm learning, but I'm having fun, and I think that's the most important part. Thank you for also complimenting the yarn. But I mean, can you like? I really want to just show you this yarn. It's so fucking pretty. And I think knitters tend to like boucle. Also, so the cotton linen one is chain spun, which I love chain spun. And cotton chain spun, this is a game changer, right? Because then you don't have to worry about it splitting. Looks beautiful, got beautiful texture. Oh, I love chain spun. And then this one is a cotton boucle. Oh wait, no. So the cotton boucle is actually $7.99. Oh, is it the linen one that's more expensive? Oh yeah. So the linen one is 15, and then I just had two in my cart, which is why. Yeah. So and then the boucle uh, is $8. So that's not too bad, but it is more expensive for 100 grams than I would. Uh, so that's that one, and then where the fuck was I? Other one. And I need them to be fibers that I can dye. So if they have acrylic in them, if they have wool in them, like I don't need anything that like I don't heat set my dyes, so they have to be. Now, if someone did a custom order and they wanted these, if you want these, I will fucking get them and dye the fuck out of them. Because they are really exciting. Chain spun. Yeah, so what chain spun is it's basically, I mean, it is what it says, but let me show you some. If I have some big chain spun. Chain spun and roving are my favorite. Okay, do I have any chain spun anymore? Is this? I think this is chain spun, but let me see if I can find something that looks a little bit better. Alright, this is definitely chain spun. Okay. So, I love this. Love this. Okay, so this is Lion Brand Date Nights. I got this. I got 3 packs on Hershey's. It's gold with gold sparkle. I'm gonna try to get close enough to the camera where you can see it. So, if you can see, kind of, it's not great, But if you can see, there's so much hair. But it's a little bit fuzzy, right? But that's not the chain spun. That's just the yarn itself. But instead of being a bunch of strands that are spun together in either an S twist, like a lot of value yarn that you get, or a Z twist, which is not as common, better for crochet. Furls did a Z twist yarn for a while. Do they still have it? I don't know. They might have discontinued it, anyways. But chain spun, it's great because when you use it, you're a lot less likely to go into the yarn when you go and grab your yarn, and it works up really well. It has a really interesting texture. Like, I don't know if you can kind of see that. I just don't have a great setup for like close-up money shots, but whatever. So I don't like if you can actually like see that strand of yarn, you can kind of see that you see like little holes in it because it's gonna chain. It's chain. So yeah, that's what. And actually, you know what? I sent you the link to the cotton linen. Click the cotton linen. You can actually see that it's a chain. There we go. That was a real big problem that didn't have to be one. But I love crocheting with it. It's very fun to work with. It does add texture to a project. It adds dimension. It's a really interesting type of yarn to do. So dyeing a chain spun would be a dream. Now, if I had like my dream yarn would if I'm doing cotton yarn still, I still think that like I've seen some bamboo blends. I've seen some viscose blends. As long as it's a plant-based fiber, I can dye it with the dyes I have. And but I think like I love roving yarn. So like if there's any way to make like roving, I don't know. I don't even know how you would do that. I probably I've thought about like just trying to find like a bunch of cotton and like send it to Crystal and hook that yarn and be like, please spin this for me. I mean, she's spinning dog hair right now, which is cool as hell. So I think it can be probably done and make some like cool roving that goes like from thick to thin, has a lot of natural texture. I think that would be beautiful. But do people want cotton like that? I don't know. Um, But yeah, so those are the more expensive ones that I'm looking at. So I'm gonna do some cheaper options first. Um, so I need white yarn. So a lot of the yarn places that I've been looking at where I think I can get affordable yarn, um, and dependable, right? Because if it's just there once, it's not super helpful. A lot of the yarn suppliers that I was looking at ice yarns and stuff like that. But a lot of them were sold out of white. Like all of them are sold out of white except for a couple options. So there are so many cotton options. It's hard to say, but you never know until you do it. Exactly, right? Well, it's like I would use it, but especially because I want, summer is so hard for us when we crochet because a lot of the items that we make, no matter what yarn we use, we're likely to have so much more like acrylic wool, stuff like that on hand. And that's really, really warm. So if we had more cotton, bamboo, like more, yeah, very hard to get. Yeah, they do have, where did I see it? I think Ice Yarns might have had one. Let's see. Okay, so this is a thin yarn. You might like it. So I don't know if you like, I don't know if you like mercerized cotton or not. I did dye some mercerized thin yarn, but uh, this is the Ice Yarns viscose. What is it called? Summer viscose. Yeah, and so that is viscose and cotton, and thin, and so would have an interesting shine to it. With the mercerized cotton would be cool too. So the ones I'm looking at, I think, are going to be the organic baby cotton, um, and the elegant metallic cotton, because this one has an iridescent metallic thread through it, and so that will not, it's plastic, so it won't dye. So, but because it's iridescent, it's going to look good on any base. So if I dye the cotton, then it's the metallic's going to come through. I'm so excited about that. I hope it works and doesn't, like, I don't know, do something weird. So I'm excited about that. But those are going to be, that's what I'm going to be trying. So I'm trying to decide if I feel like for good pictures and for good, I don't know, maybe I'll put something up on Facebook and Instagram where I try to sell before I dye them, so I can buy the yarns that people want and do kind of like a made to order thing first. And then once I get a little bit of money, then I can have a little bit of a stock so that I can just sell what's in stock, and I don't have to hurry and rush to make what everyone. Yeah, I actually I hadn't used the mercerized cotton until very recently, and I hated the feeling of it at first. I did get used to it, but at first I was like, I'm gonna fucking die. And then when I started dyeing, because I wanted to do this parasol pattern, this lace parasol pattern, and but I wanted this colorway in that, and I wanted rainbow, and I did look at Hobie, but I just was afraid that their gradient, like rainbows, I wouldn't have getting all the colors of the rainbow before I finished the parasol, if that makes sense. And it was important for me to get all the colors. So this is such a weird live. I apologize. So yeah, just starting something new is like, well, you have to prove that you can do it. But hopefully people can see that I've dyed stuff and it worked out. But so I dyed my own mercerized cotton. I dyed 1,000 meters, I think, which took forever to get on the Swift, but because I have to take it off the ball that it comes in, and I put it on the Swift, and then we have to tie it up in a hank, dye that, and then I've got to rinse the dye out, which takes like forever and a day because cotton's super absorbent. I got to rinse that all out, and then I've got to let them dry. And finding a good place to dry them is such a pain in the ass. Oh my god, let me tell you. So, but I can complain about it all day long, but I'm still going to do it because I want to do it, and it's been really fun. So, whatever. Yeah. I'm really excited about the metallic one, though. I think that'll look really cool, and I hope to God someone wants those expensive cottons that I found. And yeah, so I hope we can get some custom orders. I'm just doing this colorway for now, but I'm about to order some colors so that I can do the rainbow. I can do the trans pride colors, and then I can also do the non-binary flag colors. Those are going to be the easiest ones to get with just the base colors that I have. Other ones like the lesbian pride flag, gay man pride flag, blah, 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 whatever, all of those are a lot more trial and error and a lot more dye mixing than I've had exposure to, so I would have to give that some effort first. But also people want to pay for like nice wool and stuff, but cotton doesn't excite as many people. But sometimes those cotton's like the only thing that you can use, especially if it's hot. You want to use cotton or bamboo or linen or viscose. Like you want to use all those. So, yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I'm super excited to dye, and Mental Health Month. I just really had a passion for like making items that could be worn in the winter, or sorry, in summer, but still had fun colors and the colors that I was looking for. I tried so hard, I think that I wanted this before the Pride line that Big Twist has, the anti-pilling living yarn that they have, that a lot of people have complaints about, and and I think they did a great job. I like the idea of having like incognito pride colors, because sometimes that's just a cool thing to have. So I couldn't find it. I wanted it in a breathable thing, breathable colorway, and I had so much trouble finding it. So for me, I thought it would be really cool to do that. And then it's breathable. You can wear it during the summer, which is kind of, a little late to start selling summer yarn, but whatever. We'll see. I don't want to. I don't want to get into dyeing wool. The market is very saturated. There's so many people who are so good at color. I'm not. I'm just going with price facts. So that's gonna be my effort right there. It's just focusing, and then I'm gonna start by doing all variegated yarns, and then I'm gonna try to move into self striping yarns, um, because that's really cool. Um, uh, cool idea, I think, to do some self striping uh, yarns. But yeah, so um, and then maybe get a pan so I can do like longer stripe variegations and then go into full striping. I don't know. We'll see. I have a lot of ideas, but I always have a lot of ideas and never as much follow through. So we got to work on that. My voice keeps cracking. I'm sure my dry throat. I'm sucking on this as well. But yeah, if there's any viscose or anything that you want me to dye, if you see a yarn that you're like, this would be cool, dye it in a rainbow pattern. And I did dye the trans pride colors using like a tie-dye kit. Yes, so exactly. So this is the peaches and cream white, um, and uh, I it's not soft. And then the dyeing process did make it a little bit less soft, which is crazy because it's not soft to begin with. But that's because I didn't put any fabric softener in it, which is one of my next steps in the dyeing process. But so it's gonna be easier to use. But I wanted to get some nicer quality cotton, which is why I'm getting the ice yarns organic baby cotton, because it's nice. I was looking at some Egyptian cotton, but it's just pricier, and I just don't know if people are gonna want to take that step. So I don't know. There's a lot of thinking that goes into this, and money. Unfortunately, I wish I had more money. Apparently, my subtotal is -$1, which is pretty cool. And $13 shipping on -$1, so my total is $12.95. That -1 didn't even come into play. But if I could get all this for $13, that'd be cool. What's odd? Sorry, I'm talking so fast right now. So yeah, I do want some nicer quality cotton, but I still want to maintain its affordability. So towing the line of getting some softer cotton that's not kitchen cotton, like what I'm using now. It's a start, and it's more affordable for people who want the colors but can't necessarily afford a nicer cotton. I understand that. I'm in that position. But then, like, maybe once I get people who are actually interested, if people are interested in these nicer cottons, I can start getting them and we can dye them, and everybody will be happy. So, yeah, that's that. Uh, like cotton threads. I so I did dye. Let me show you what I have. Okay, so this is 1,000 meters of crochet thread, like 10 weight or whatever, however you say it, like so it's the thin crochet thread. Now what you use, I believe, is even thinner than this. Is that correct? Okay, so this is like it. Aunt Lydia's 10. So I can do that. I mean, if I can unravel it, yeah, I know it's so pretty, right? I'm super proud of it. It looks so pretty and inked up. Granted, it was a real bitch to get on the Swift. Like, it was a real bitch. But yeah, so I can dye these. Um, uh, they just take a while to get off the balls that they come in. But yeah, I'll do these in bigger batches because I'm not going to dye like just one ball, tiny ball. It's just it's too much. But this is mercerized cotton, so it's got mercerization. I did some research because I was afraid that it would affect the dye absorption, um, but mercerization, because I was like, I didn't know if it would take because I thought it was like a coating, but mercerization actually makes the thread stronger. So most like sewing thread and stuff like that is mercerized, so that it's stronger even though it's very, very thin. And I was like, well, can I remove it? And it's actually a chemical process that they do, so I can't remove it. However, it does make the cotton more absorbent, which is really interesting. I'm learning so much. I'm having so much fun learning about yarn and stuff like this. Um, So the mercerized cotton is actually more absorbent than its unmercerized form. So it takes dye super well because it's a water-soluble dye that works on plant fibers. So if you use this or if you use something thinner, um, whatever you use, that like that viscose, if you like using viscose, that viscose cotton, I could dye. I could dye. But let's see. I gotta reopen it. So that's 50 grams, and it's I don't know what it is Canadian because it's just showing US dollars. I guess I could change right here. Canadian dollar right there. So Canadian, just so you have a price perspective, for for 6 balls, so it's 300 grams total, which is about let's see, um, uh, what's 6 times 210? Sorry, my math is not mathing. Uh, and because they're in smaller skeins, I mean, I think they would be. I would have to, get all of them in individual thingies. But obviously, I cut you a deal on just because I'm like newer at this, but then have to ship it to you. All those things will be taken into account. Let's see. Okay, doing math. Okay, so the summer viscose. So it's 28% viscose, 72% mercerized cotton. It's 50 grams per ball, and there's 6 balls. It is $15 Canadian. So the price per 50 grams is $2.50. It's $2.49 technically. So let's see. You probably work in meters times 6. So that's 1,260 meters per 6-pack. So that's a good amount of cotton. I mean, that's let's see. That's okay. Sorry, 1260. Okay, yeah, okay. So that's 26% more. So about a quarter more than this amount for $15 Canadian as the base, and then I would probably add my base price, which I'm still formulating, but I think will probably be. I don't even want to put a number on it. It'll be as cheap as I can make it with all the different costs of dyes and stuff. But I know that a lot of people are selling their yarns for other cotton dyed yarns in like the $14 to $18 price range US, which means it would be higher. Let's see. Try to do some mental math. What did I say? $15.99? $14.96. Not gonna be perfect conversion, but that's okay. It's $10.99. I'm just like changing all the settings on my thing. Yeah, $10.99. Okay, so what is going on? What am I trying to do? I found the conversion rate. Oh, I was gonna look up what $14 to $18 look like in Canadian times 14. So that's about $19. So the low end of the range is $19 for that amount, but because it's of the process, it'd probably be closer to the higher end. So, what did I do before? So that's $24.50. I'm doing a bunch of stuff all in my head. Just don't mind me. Okay, so it'd be like $19 to $25 Canadian just for 1,260 meters of dyed mercerized. Well, this one is the summer viscose, but whatever. So I don't know. Is this all too much? Yeah, I haven't done. Sorry, I know that was a lot. My brain's like on hyperdrive. I've been out of my antipsychotic for a while, so I'm probably a little hypomanic. We'll see. Could just be my mood from being ADHD. But yeah, so if you wanted that, oh shit, there's no shipping. Damn it. Shipping from Ice Yarns doubles the cost. Oh no, the cost doubles. Okay, so that's shit. Oh my god. So 1,260 yards would actually be in the range of like $40 to $50 Canadian. So I was not correct. So the thing about Ice Yarns, I don't know if you've ever shopped at Ice Yarns. It is the yarn itself is very inexpensive. Very inexpensive. It is from Turkey, but the shipping is very intense. So you get this like really huge relief. You can get all this yarn. It's great. It's so cheap. And then your shipping comes in. Basically, just to estimate shipping, usually whatever the cost of the item is, just double it, and that's what you'll pay for the item plus shipping. So that's like $40 to $50. Well, no, no, it wouldn't double the price of my work though. It would just double the price of the yarn. So, sorry, I know I'm doing a lot of weird brain things. Okay, so just the yarn, $14.90. Okay, so that's $30 if we're assuming that shipping is also the same price as the yarn. So that's $30 just for the yarn for all 6 balls of the 50 grams, right? And so $30, and then $15 US, minus the cost of the yarn. So like, trying to like estimate. Let's say. Let's see if I started my workout. I'm so sorry. This is so confusing. Okay, so let me look at what I want to charge for things. Because like if it's I know I started doing pricing workup. And I wasn't going to do that yarn because it was going to be more expensive. You wanted the viscose. Now, if you don't mind, like an Aunt Lydia's or Red Heart mercerized 10, or like any Red Heart or Aunt Lydia's weight, I can do. So I could do the 20. They just don't come in. I don't think the 20 comes in as big of a ball, but I'm not. Whatever. I'll do it. But those are cheaper and much more accessible, and then I don't have to pay shipping costs, which is really nice. I'm so sorry for being really confusing. My brain is working at like 1,000 miles per hour right now because I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Okay, so this is so the Summer Viscose White. Yeah, so for me, if I did, oh, but that's for 100 grams. So people usually charge for the grams, not for the, that's why. Okay. That's why the cost is going to be so crazy. Because I had my cost, in my little, let me see if I can share what's going on here. Okay. So this is a little cost breakdown that I did. Just so these are options for base yarn that I have. So I do have I like spreadsheets. I did a lot of spreadsheets from my old work, and it makes me feel like I'm not mentally incompetent anymore. So so these are the different options. I have different weights. I just wanted to kind of compare them side by side. So I looked at the cost per 100 grams. This is in US dollars. But so this price isn't accurate. So this price is actually the cost for 100 meters. They did not give me the weight, but I can weigh this on my food scale. Let me using the basket so that I can make sure I'm getting accurate weight. Okay, so 0 out, 0 out, 0 out. No, I didn't want to turn you off. I just want to 0 you out. Okay, so this is 180. So it's almost twice the amount for a 10 weight yarn. But the price is this used to be my life, just fucking with numbers. Okay. Right. Let me see. So if I looked at this goes. Okay, so the crochet thread that I got to make this. This this base yarn just cost me $5.74. No shipping. I got it to my Walmart, and you can go pick it up. To get the for 180 grams of the cotton viscose would be about $13. So you're probably like, fuck off. It's 5 a.m. It's not 5 a.m. there anymore, but you're like, fuck off. This is stupid. Okay, so 5.74. Okay, so the viscose yarn, which is why I wasn't planning to use it, is like 230% more. So it's more than twice. It's more than twice the cost of this. So if you use this, if you want this colorway, this cost is going to be so much cheaper. It's probably going to be a similar weight. If you really want that viscose, you're going to have to pay more. However, you get the yarn you want. So you're probably like, fuck you. And to see what the prices are, maybe get some shipped directly to you. Oh yeah, that would be, yeah. If you can find the yarn and you want to get it shipped to me, yeah, then you'll just pay for the price of the dyeing process, which is the difference, and then shipping back. Yeah, the regular kind. Yeah, it's so much cheaper. I mean, viscose is nice, but I mean, let's see, the viscose options that they don't have a lot of viscose at Ice Yarns, but let's see, they have 9, 12, 13, 14. They have 14 different colors of this cotton viscose blend. There's a beautiful, beautiful, some beautiful oranges. The light orange is really gorgeous. There's a lime green, purple. I mean, every color of the rainbow. There's no yellow, which I always am like, why don't people have yellow yarn? It's a 1 superfine sock fingering baby, which I mean, I think all of those thicknesses are kind of different, so I hate when they do that. But yeah, it's a thin ass yarn. But yeah, there are some nice colors of viscose if you just want this yarn to get shipped to you. Like I mean, if you're going to get yarn and they have it at Ice Yarns, it's always much cheaper to get it from them, even with the shipping being what it is. Yeah, as much. I haven't used it. I bet it's really nice, but I knew that it was a plant fiber, so I knew it would dye with my things. I was gonna look at hemp, because I wanted to see prices on that. I knew they would probably be a little bit more expensive, but I just wanted to see what hemp costs are. Hemp yarn. Oh my gosh, is there just one? Wait, why? It's just showing me like literally one that's called hemp. I'm like, no, there's gotta be ones that. Okay, so there's like jute that has hemp in it, and there's a hemp fine. Let's see, 100% hemp yarn. Oh, we're still in Canadian dollars. Let's bump that down to US. Okay, so they have it's a 2-weight fine sport baby. It looks more like a 2-weight, yeah. Then, yeah, how could they say that both of those are sport? I don't know. Ooh, beautiful, beautiful colors. Oh my goodness. But they do not have a white. Like, sometimes they don't have a white, and I'm like, what? But if you want to look at these hemp things, I haven't used it, but it looks cool. Ooh, yeah, I looked at some silk options. There we go. Some threads of viscose and mulberry silk. Wow, that sounds delicious to wear. Just very, very tasty. But yeah, the hemp, they don't have any white options and any white to dye. I mean, technically I could dye over like a cream, but the colors won't be as vibrant, and I really am relying on the vibrancy of the yarn. I wonder if, yarn. Okay, so I can actually just search viscose on here. Whoa, they have a lot of viscose blends. I'm just gonna send you like a fuck ton of links. So if you want to look at the viscose options that they have, now let's see. So go back. Okay, so let's see all of the viscose options. So if it's got wool or anything plastic in it, I can't dye it. So can't do the first, second, third. The raffia I could technically dye, but that seems weird. I would be really, really weirded out about that, if I'm being honest. Alpaca wool. Okay, so summer. That's a beautiful yarn. Ooh, that's a beautiful yarn. Ooh, they have it in white. It's a 2/8 sport baby. 100-gram balls, $11.99. Hey, I think this is a good deal. Put this on my list. Now, is a 2/8 too thick for you for what you like to use? Because this is much better price. I should just let you look into this. I'm sorry. Yeah, so on the Ice Yarn website, it's very overwhelming when you first go onto it. There's so much. Let me share my screen again. There's so much, and I think it's pretty laggy when I share my screen, so I apologize. Now we're just talking about yarn. I'm having a grand old time. Okay. So this is the viscose that I am looking at. So this is the summer viscose. You can see that viscose nice and twisted in there. Little S twist. Gorgeous. It is 30% viscose, 70% mercerized cotton. So this is a 2/8 rather than the 1/8 I talked to you about. Now, let's see if they have it in stock. They do have it in stock. Ooh, they also have some color variations. These are beautiful. If you didn't want to buy hand-dyed from me, these are really good options. Wow, oh my gosh, this is so pretty. Oh, and the gray too. Fuck me, that's pretty. I'm like, is it even worth dyeing? But the viscose really just gives such a beautiful shine to it. But if you could deal with a 2/8, I think this would be a much more cost-effective way to go, because you're getting so much more. I mean, you're getting 200 grams total, or 700 meters, and it's $11.99 US. So that would be, so just double that in Canadian dollars. If you don't know how to use, so what you can do if you're navigating the Ice Yarn website, let me just show you how it goes. Okay, so it just pops up somewhere here. There's all kinds of shit that'll pop up. There's always new yarn. Like, you can look every single day, there'll be a new yarn. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful yarns. But yarns do kind of come and go, so some of them that aren't as popular, you kind of got to get while you can get them, because they'll go out of stock. On Tuesdays, they have sales on the yarns that are going out of the closeout yarns. Big selection there. So there's categories, and then they have, categories here. Yarn tags. If you're looking for a specific fiber type, or just anything. So here is where I found viscose. This is where I found hemp. You can get 100% viscose, 100% cotton, 100% linen. You can also, if you just went to like linen, it'll show you 100% linen and any linen mixes. Ooh, here is a linen viscose mix. That's pretty cool. It's a 2/8. And also, sometimes you kind of have to gauge it by, how it looks. Like, to me, this doesn't look like it would be fun to crochet with. It looks like it would just, be real piecey. But then they have to have a white for me to dye it, and they don't have a white. Lots of beautiful colors, though. That mint green's calling to me. But just for you, Sorry, I'm just going to be like, here, buy all this. Like a 1 or thinner. I can always double or triple it. Great. Yeah. Saw the linen viscose. Yeah. So there's so many options. So yeah, let me stop sharing. Am I just showing you my screen? I don't know what's happening. Okay. So I'm gonna stop trying to convince you to buy things. Yeah, if you find yarn that you like, you can let me know. As long as it comes in white, I can dye it for you. The only thing that I wouldn't dye would be like actual like sewing thread. To me, that's taking it a step too far. And I don't believe that thread is generally mercerized. I think, well, it can be. The cheap stuff isn't, right? And so it tangles really easily, and getting those tangles out is a nightmare. So I don't think I would do that, because I would just fucking destroy the whole thing. But anyways, yeah. So that's the only thing I probably wouldn't dye, because I need to be able to get it out on the Swift so I can get it in the hang. But yeah, and I probably wouldn't do like embroidery floss unless it came in like a yarn, like a adequate size to dye it, because the ones are so tiny. So white and natural. So natural, the color I can dye. What? Oh, natural. You mean like natural fibers? Yes. Yeah, the plant-based fibers. So viscose. Now viscose does have chemicals in it. So before I went, I promised you that I could get the exact colors. I would probably want to like test it first, because it does have chemicals in it. So have done so much research. I feel very educated on the subject right now, which is cool, because I don't usually feel educated on subjects lately. Um, uh, because of the chemical processing, it might not be as absorbent as I need it to be. So even though it is a plant-based fiber, technically it's actually a processed fiber because of the chemicals added to it. So it might take dye differently or not take it at all. So I would get a little bit and do like a sample dye for you, or I would just, you could buy the yarn, and then if I tried to dye it and it didn't dye, then you know I just have undyed yarn. Figure out something else to do with it. But yeah, I just thought about that. I forgot that they said viscose could take it differently. I went down this whole road where I was like, I can do all the viscose you want. And then I was like, fuck, we can't do that. But linen, hemp, cotton, those, silk, um, those are the big ones. But cotton is the cheapest. Bamboo, cotton is the cheapest by far, for all of those. So 100% cotton, generally the way to go. Linen, all of those, 100% cotton is the way to go. And mercerized cotton, at the thinner weights that you like, is probably the best option too. So far from a yarn stock. Yeah, but you still, when you buy hand dyed yarn, I think this is why I don't buy hand dyed yarn. One, doesn't pour, but like the other reason is like I feel like it's its own work of art, and so when I'm using it, I want to make sure that I honor that work of art. What the hell is linen made out of? I think it's just a wait. Is linen not a natural fiber? It's from the flax plant. Absorbent, very strong, absorbent, and dries faster than cotton. I looked it up, but I don't. I mean, I think I had read that, but yeah, yeah. If it's as long as it's plant based, yep. Yeah. So I mean, this I mean, just as like I'm reading like literally the Wikipedia on linen. Um, I mean, it just seems like it's got a lot of really great things going for it. It just says linen is a textile from the fibers of the flax plant. Linen is very strong and absorbent and dries faster than cotton. Because of these properties, linen is comfortable to wear in hot weather and is valued for use in garments. Linen textiles can be made from the flax plant fiber, yarn, as well as woven and knitted. Linen also has other distinctive characteristics, such as its tendency to wrinkle. Blah, blah. Yeah. So, is linen a real fabric? What a weird question. Apparently, that's people also ask, is linen a real fabric? Okay. I guess you gotta learn something. I've heard linen has a really nice drape to it. I guess it just depends on what you're making, right? Because cotton is going to be stiffer always, especially, um, you know, you know, all of these have their pros and cons. The main pro of cotton is that it's the least expensive and most easily accessible. Like I'm always going to be able to find a white 4-weight like dish cotton. I'm always going to be able to find a white 10-weight uh, thread cotton crochet thread. So with that in mind, um, I think I might have been gifted a hank of linen. I just dye that. I don't know. It's called berry berry confusing, and it's just a bunch of berries, I guess. I don't know. It tastes good. I tend to go for like fruitier flavors. Um, I know it seemed like I'm vaping a lot. I am vaping a lot more than I was before I went in treatment, um, but it's always this way when I cut back from. I use disposable vapes in treatment because they won't let you bring anything in because they're like, well, this could be, this could have drugs in it. That's fair because people do that. So you have to get disposable ones that are unopened, and so those are a lot stronger and just like punching the back of the throat. And so also the way that we had our smoke breaks, we make our own. I have a thing for caramel. Nice. I love caramel, whatever. I love it. I love actual caramel. And like caramelization on anything, I will love. It automatically tastes better. But for some reason, I always like when I've tried the vape flavors, it just tastes like burn. It just tastes like burning. I guess it's because you get the caramel flavor, but caramel is such a tricky thing. Like if you're making caramel in a pot, like you're just like caramelizing sugar, like it's got that tipping point, right, where it goes from being so delicious to burnt if you're not stirring constantly and keeping the temperature regulated and stuff like that. And I think because you get to that perfect point, you put it in the vape, and then the vape cooks it a little bit more, or whatever vapes do. I feel like that just makes it taste burnt. But if you like it, a lot of people like caramel flavor. I mean, I like caramel, period, but like caramel flavoring always has kind of a weird taste to me. But yeah, I just have some flavors that I like. There's also another one called Blunderbuss Ice. I don't know what Blunderbuss is. They just make up weird ass names. Um, but they the ice means that it's got like it's like a menthol, which when I smoke cigarettes, I do smoke menthol cigarettes, so it's got a little bit of like a kick to it, like a more like fullness, sharpness, I guess. Um, but that one also is pretty fruity in nature, just like fruity ones. My disposable ones, I usually go for like a watermelon or banana. I mean, I never had other than when my coils go. Oh yeah. Oh, I hate when that happens. And if you just refilled it and then you realize your coil's bad. You got to smoke all that burning, or you just dump it, waste all your juice. I hate wasting juice, so I will smoke it burnt, and that's a bad thing. I shouldn't do that, but I do it because I'm irresponsible. But do as I say, not as I do. But I don't make my own flavor, so I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. Honestly, I don't think that's a project to start. If I start making vape liquid, my wife is gonna kill me. I'm not going to judge you. For me, cigarettes are a coping skill, and I, I know that there are better coping skills out there. I know that there are worse coping skills out there for me. For me, uh, because it kind of works in my brain in a way that when I'm in these really extreme moments of depression or mania or anything like that, if I just smoke a pack of cigarettes over a couple of days, for some reason, and I think part of it is like the sensation of like breathing in and out and having to do it in like a kind of set time frame. Like when you smoke cigarettes, you can't like, I mean, unless you just want to, cough your lung out. But but you also have a time frame because if you don't smoke it, it's just gonna burn out. You're not gonna have it. With vapes, you can just hit them so many times. So I don't. Vapes don't really help me get out of those harder spots, but cigarettes do. And then cigarettes do have stronger nicotine percentage. I have this is 3%. The shop I go to, I love the shop I go to. I don't go to any other place for juice. I don't get premixed or whatever. Um, so they can customize your nicotine percentage. So mine's at the lowest that you can have with nicotine in it. So I'll do a taper coming off of the disposables because disposables are really strong. Or they're like 5%, but they're 5% kicks you in the face, right? Kicks in the throat. So yeah, 6%. Um, but with this one, I can get juice and I can wean off my juice so where I can do a 0% juice. And then I really stop vaping, period. I just do it occasionally if I have like the oral fixation or just like the habit, and then it's no big deal. So it's pretty cool. I really like my shop. If you make your own, I mean, obviously you can customize that as much as you want. That's really cool. I mean, like, I'm like, I'm trying to tell myself, like, don't do that. Like, don't, for, like, it's cool that you do that, and it makes me want to do it, but I literally do not need another hobby. And I become fanatic about it. I buy all the things and then I give up and I quit. And I don't want to do that. So, but yeah. So I with this one I pretty much exclusively do 3% till I move down to 0%. Prepping for surgery, I do have to get down to I do have to stop all nicotine 6 weeks before, and then after my surgery, I don't know exactly how long I have to wait. I think it's like 2 months um, before I can have any nicotine again. Nicotine does slow down your healing. Um, yeah, exactly. That's what I'll do. I kind of like mix it a little bit, the same flavor, and just mix it down to 0%. Although going from 3% to 0% is really not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. But yeah, I'll do just like one mix and then I'm ready to go to 0%. But yeah, so with my surgery, um, that one I it's like 3.5 months without any nicotine, um, which usually is not a problem for me. But when I am going through an episode, that is hard for me. But then if I'm going through an episode, I don't need to get surgery because then um, I'm not, and then I've destabilized and things can happen and stuff like that. So we'll see if they cancel this surgery. I'm scheduled for surgery. Uh, I'm scheduled for surgery the 5th of July, and but I was in the hospital, and they say that the international standards say that you can't have been hospitalized for suicidal ideation for 12 months of your surgery. I know, but I'm a firm believer that nicotine can help you sometimes. I'm not going to argue that at all. And I know it's got bad effects, but I take a lot of medications and it's not great effects. So anyways, so but like it's literally like they will nicotine, like they test your nicotine levels, and if you have any nicotine in you, they will not 6 weeks before your surgery, and then they test you right before your surgery. If you have any nicotine, they won't do it. And you're like, but you'll do any other surgery, literally any other surgery, but gender affirming surgeries, no. you can't. I'm just like, oh my god. But anyways, and if you get like the nipple grafts, skin grafts are really, really iffy. Like in the sense that like you can't do any nicotine. Like the nipples have a tendency to fall off if you do that. If you go that route, I'm not. If you go that route and do the skin graft, they you can't have any nicotine for 6 months after your surgery. I think that's 6 months, and then otherwise your nipples could fall off. I mean, they can fall off anyways because that's how terrifying surgery is. But but they are you have a high likelihood of them falling off. And it's like you did all that healing and work, and then you have your nipples fall off. Fuck that. So it's really crazy. It's really crazy. But with the hospital thing, so you can't have been hospitalized 12 months prior to your surgery. Nipples can fall. Oh no. Um. Uh. So. Uh. You can't have been hospitalized for suicidal ideations 12 months before your surgery because they're like, oh, you're not stable. He went through a double mastectomy himself. Okay. Yeah. The thing is, so the top surgery that trans men, trans masc people do, or non-binary people do, it was actually developed for cisgender men who had either like breast cancer or who had actually that it's not for breast cancer because they remove all the breast tissue for that, but but for people who had what is that like gynecomastia, like just like enlarged breast tissue or just significant breast tissue for a like a male body. So that surgery is actually called a contoured double mastectomy, which means that they don't take out all the breast tissue; they leave some, so that you don't have like a bird chest or whatever they call it. You have like a little bit of contour that looks like natural pecs. So so yeah, that's actually pretty much all the surgeries that they do for the gender affirming surgeries that they do for trans men were developed for cis men, which is why it's so crazy that um oh, and had a large chest. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I know someone who did those as well. That he didn't have those particular effects because I don't think he ever really worked his chest, but um, he was more of like a arms and shoulders guy. He's now concave. Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe if they didn't take that tissue, it would have just kept on developing. I wonder if can you develop gynecomastia from steroids? Gynecomastia from steroids. Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can get gynecomastia, which is why many bodybuilders develop man boobs. Um, when the steroid use is stopped, gynecomastia will not simply go away. The breast glandular tissue growth is permanent. Yep. So they have to take out everything. Yep. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So what they're doing for me is different than what they did for him because his breast tissue was gonna just. It sounds like it was just gonna keep going because the what did they call it? The like the not the ducts, but whatever. Um, the glands, they're gonna keep producing breast tissue. That's very interesting. I did not know that. Uh, uh, but so this is for people, I guess, with naturally occurring gynecomastia, where they do the contour. So it's not going to keep developing throughout their life. It's going to stop at one point, and then that's where they take out the extra meat. So yeah, all the surgeries that I know of that are for uh, gender affirming care for trans men, trans masc, and non-binary folks, leaning this way, I guess. they're all for cis men, which is really interesting. But they don't all the same precautions that they take for trans people. They don't do for cis people. It's crazy. Like, there's this really wild um, thing going on, and I kind of can't make sense of it. But whatever, no one asked my opinion, so but I gave it anyways. That's why you're here, right? Yeah, I think they take out the glands. Yeah, I don't think it'll come back. I don't think it can come back. There's nothing to produce that breast tissue. Yeah, but wow, yeah, that's rough. That's rough. Yeah, they can really mess up your body. I mean, that is huge, huge change. Uh, when you're messing with hormones, it really things get buck wild. um, so yeah, yep, yeah, yeah. It's they I think it feeds into a lot of this idea that there's some kind of like fad about being transgender or whatever. Um, and that like surgeries are so easy to get, and so they're making a point to prove that they're not easy to get, which only serves to hurt trans people who are not the people saying it's easy to get. Um, so it's really crazy. And as someone who's mentally ill, the hospitalization aspect for me has been really hard, and um, like uh, like mentally, because thanks Nightbot, perfect timing. um, so Nightbot doesn't do anything most of the time, and then it just pops up at the most random times. Yeah, but yeah, so it's just like I don't know. I don't know. They make it so hard for everything, but the hospitalization aspect for me is like, well, I don't go. I haven't been 12 months without some kind of significant treatment in since I got my concussion. Like literally, I have brain damage, but like you're gonna use my getting help when I need it against me and not let me get a life saving surgery. That's the thing, is like some of the people doing these surgeries are not making the connection that these are life saving surgeries. But when you look into the research, like it's like these are legitimately life saving surgeries, and for people who are trans. And so it's like, well, why aren't you making them? I know it's a significant change to your body, but like, if I wanted to, like, there's so many things they could do to my body medically that, like, no one would give a flying fuck about. But the minute that I want to start changing my body to be gender affirming, it's just like, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, it's not fair, it's not right, and something needs to be done, but I don't, I think we have to take it one step at a time. And I'm fully prepared that the minute my doctor, I don't know when it will be. I don't know if I'm going to get my surgery this time because I went into the hospital, but I went in for mania. So, but they might be like, no, you still went into a hospital. It proves that you're not stable. Although around that time it was scheduled when I was depressed. Right before then, I was not stable, and I called them and I was like, hey, I got to push my surgery back. So I showed that I can make that decision to move it back, that I'm not going to put my health in jeopardy if I'm in a bad place. But they might just look at it and be like, well, you're hospitalized for mental health, you're not stable. And I'm like, I'm never going to be stable. And 12 months ago literally has no determination of how I feel now. They literally don't care. They just don't care. No one will touch me. I've heard that there are doctors out there that are more considerate with people with mental health issues. I don't know where these people are. Yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. It's yeah. I mean, uh, it's a plastic, and this is a plastic surgeon who's doing it. So like, they could literally just give someone like beach ball balloon, beach ball boobs, and then. But it's the fact that a lot of the reason why is because it's a cosmetic surgery that is covered by insurance, and when there's a cosmetic surgery covered by insurance, there's a lot more um, paperwork and stuff that they have to do, uh, and things like that to make sure that people like can't just get cosmetic surgery um, for whatever reason, but but like I was gonna say cleft palate, but that's totally different. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, I understand it's big surgery. There's a lot of things going on, but it's so prohibitive, and they put people at risk by doing what they're doing, and so the minute I get my top surgery, if I ever get my top surgery, the minute they say I'm all clear, I recovered, I'm good, I'm fucking laying into that surgeon. I've already got my speech prepared. I am laying into them. I'm telling them every single way that they fucked up and how people would literally kill themselves if they had gone through what I did. And that I almost killed myself. Sorry. Anyways, they are gonna fucking know everything. So, you're sneezing upstairs. Um, but I'm gonna let them know how much damage they're doing by treating people the way they treat people, and I'm gonna make them listen. Um, so, anyways, hopefully I'll get my surgery in July, and they could have scheduled it like literally 2 weeks before Pride, and I was like, hell no, I won't be able to go to Pride. I love Pride. Pride's my favorite time of year. It's gay Christmas. uh, Unless you're a Christmas gay, and then it's just Christmas too. Yeah, and gastric bypass is a tremendous. Um, yeah, if you lose it on your end too, exactly. And gastric bypass is actually way more has a way higher complication rate. It's super high, super high. I don't know if I've ever met someone who had gastric bypass who didn't have complications. And I must be Christmas gay. I was saying pick gay people who are really into Christmas, but if you want that title, you can go for it. Um, but like like there's like Disney gays, or like gays that just love Disney. I think I think Daniel of Paul Plot Yarns is a Disney gay. um, and you can tell him I said so. I think you would identify with that title. But like I'm a I like oh my gosh, Daniel, no fucking way. Daniel, did you hear that? I literally just said your name. I was like, you can tell him I said that. Oh, fuck. Oh my god. Okay. Leather, please tell me that timing was not like perfect comedic timing. Oh my gosh. Okay, Daniel, I said, as you said, would you consider yourself a Disney gay? Because I was saying that, like, I started by saying that Pride is like gay Christmas, but then I was like, unless you're a Christmas gay, and then it's just like second Christmas. Um, and then Leather said I must be Christmas gay, and and uh, and I was like, there's different types of gays. like, there's Disney gays. It was like Daniel's a Disney gay. I I guess I'm like a Halloween gay. That's not a thing. I mean, okay, so because like I've heard Halloween is like gay Christmas, but Pride is also kind of like gay Christmas Do gays get 3 Christmases if they celebrate Christmas? Are we the luckiest people in the world? Christmas all the time. Oh my gosh. I felt like I summoned you. Like, I'm doing everything. I'm not just like crack up on the floor. Oh, that was fucking funny. Yes. But, whew. I don't know. Is there anything that can be said after that? Okay, everyone in the comments, if you want to tell me what kind of gay I am, just let me know. Like, a yarn gay? No. Crochet gay? I don't like the way that sounds in my mouth. Just like real gay. Real gay. I have been summoned. It's the Disney gay. You're the token Disney gay. Look, I even have my Halloween shirt on. This is a big trick energy. Like, the goth gay? The alt gay? I don't know. But after that, yeah, I won't stop you. Oh my gosh. Whew. I'm like delirious from laughing and not sleeping. So, I'm gonna eat some breakfast. It's probably what I should do. I don't really want to eat, but I'm gonna do it. Not as grossed out by food. And I also got some Ensures to, ensure that I get some protein in. And Daniel, if you want to hear a really a gay tragedy of very rated M proportions, let a boy know. Because something happened this past week, and it was a gay tragedy. A 12-hour drive ahead of, oh gosh, oh, yeah. If I didn't have to eat, I wouldn't. But I think that's the trauma in me. But whatever. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, Daniel, message me if you want to hear something kind of gross. It's pretty gross, but yeah. Does it happen? I don't. It happened. I can't give you any more hints like this. I will. Not only will I'm not monetized, so I don't have to worry about being demonetized. But I will, like, Susan, whatever, or whoever runs YouTube will come to my house and punch me in the throat. Like, I cannot say, and honestly, I would never show my face here again. The nearest Michael's back 12 hours. Oh my god. We drove to Florida to get on our cruise for our honeymoon. I think that was close to 12 hours. And it was fine on the way there. The way back just felt super long. But the way there, Mel and I were having a good time. And we also were trying to, because like cruises have like all those like activities and stuff. And we thought that there like might be like a newlywed game like night or something. So we literally spent almost 12 hours just looking at common newlywed game questions, and answering them, giving each other the answers like we were cheating at the newlywed. It was really fun. It passed the time for sure. That would be a good that would be fun for you and Ash to do if you want to kill some time. Just look up like newlywed game questions, and there's so many out there. But yes, so I'm gonna go eat. If I decide, Daniel, I'm gonna send you something. I'm gonna start slowly giving you information. If at any point you're like, I just don't want to hear anymore, just let me know. Well, there wasn't one, so we didn't have anything to cheat at. But we tried to cheat. We tried to cheat at the newlywed game. But but if at any point you want to back out, Daniel, just let me know. And if you're like, Ian, I really didn't need to know that much information about you. That's okay. And yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gay tragedy struck. Oh my god. It's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. And please don't judge me for it. Please don't judge me for it. Cool. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go. Love you all, and I'll talk to you later.